Hey guys, so in today's video I'm going to just be talking about my experience with giving birth. I do have two kids. They were both very different experiences for me. I'm going to go over both of them. More than likely this video will be split into two because I also wanted to go on what happens after you have a baby. There were a lot of things that went on with my body that I was not aware of. Maybe I should have been more prepared, but I definitely want to just go over them. I did want to start off first by saying that everyone's experience is not going to be what mine were. Everyone's body reacts and responds to the different things differently. Like I said, every pregnancy is different. You're going to go through things that I never heard of, or some things I might say might surprise you. But I just wanted to first go ahead and say that, like I said, these are just my experiences. Just things that I went through that I wish I were kind of more aware of when I was going through it. So I'm going to first go over my daughter, who I had first. I was induced with her. I did have an epidural with her, and I'm just going to go over how everything started. So with my daughter Kassidy, like I said before, I was induced. I was induced because in about the span of a month my stomach had stopped growing. They were saying that they felt the baby had ran out of space in my stomach. That was my first pregnancy, and I want to say before I was pregnant with her I weighed maybe 115. Through the pregnancy I want to say I gained about 7 pounds. My last appointment I had measured, they weighed the baby and she was around a little under 4, so the doctor had got worried, was concerned with my measurements, so she decided to go ahead and induce me that evening. So I literally went to the doctor for my weekly checkup, and she was like, you stopped growing. This is the 4th time that we've measured you and your measurements have been the same. So how do you feel about having your baby like today? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening so fast. I was not expecting it, but definitely was excited, nervous, all those emotions bundled into one. So I went ahead and checked into the hospital. She informed me that they were going to insert kind of like a water balloon into me, just to help me start dilating, starting the whole process, because it was, like I said, I was going to be induced. They did go ahead and give me some Pitocin. They started all of that within maybe about an hour or two from which I had checked into the hospital. So everything definitely happened. I was so surprised. Like I said, I was not expecting to have her. I think it was probably, I want to say a week, maybe a week and a half before my due date. So I thought I had more time to prepare for things, but it's kind of just like, hey, it's going to happen now. So it's kind of like you have to swallow it, just prepare yourself, get your mind right, and just prepare, for ready to being a mom. So like I said, they had inserted the balloon to me that night. And I went and checked into a hospital on a Tuesday. So a Tuesday, they had started my Pitocin, inserted the water balloon. So they were really just trying to jumpstart the labor process, get my body, ready to deliver the baby. So all day Wednesday, they were just looking for progress, seeing if I was dilating at all, how fast and rapidly I was dilating, see if I was having contractions. The process was very slow. Wednesday, they just kept monitoring me. I was dilating, but not at the pace that they wanted me to. I wasn't really having any change. So they decided that they were going to break my water the next morning and see what happened then, because at that point in time they just kind of prepared me that I might need a C-section. So already going through that, I was already nervous. I'm like, a C-section, that wasn't part of the plan. I didn't think I would have had to do that. But again, it's just a matter of preparing your mind to do whatever you and your body have to do to deliver the baby. So Thursday morning, they had woken me up and they did break my water. That is a very strange, awkward feeling. Like you literally feel like you're urinating on yourself, and it's just like, oh my god, all of this is coming out of me. But it's just all part of the process. So I did have to have my water broke. Then after then, things definitely picked up. I really didn't feel contractions that were too bad. Like I felt them the day before, but it was nothing like that I felt I couldn't bear. So the contractions definitely picked up. I was definitely starting to feel almost everything. I want to say they broke my water about 8 o'clock that morning. That's when I had called my parents like, hey, it's gonna happen soon, I'm feeling everything. So we were kind of prepared, like, okay, this is the day she's gonna come. So I want to say 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so about 5 hours, you know, everything was, you know, we were just looking for progress. My body was responding to everything well. You know, we still had the Pitocin kicking. The contractions were getting worse and worse as the time went by. I was basically trying to, you know, go through what I learned, breathing through them, you know, keeping consistent with the breaths and, you know, trying to tune everything and everyone out around me. But at the same time, you do want people around you because you're uncomfortable, you don't know what's going on. So it's good to have like your mom and people who have gone through the experience around you, because it's definitely comforting. So we started having the contractions. They were getting really, really bad. And I got to the point where I did ask for an epidural. An epidural is just basically like medicine that they put in your back to calm and basically numbs you from the waist down. It makes the contractions way more bearable. Some people can't feel them at all. It's just it makes your mind, your body feel more at ease, like I said, because you're not feeling the contractions, everything going on. So it definitely calmed me down. I definitely, going into it, I wanted to try to get as far as I can natural. I think I made it to 4 centimeters before, 4 to 5, around that time, before I asked for the epidural. So like I said, I made it halfway. I was like, hey, I'm fine with getting it. I'm not ashamed of getting the epidural. So I definitely went ahead and did that. I did want to also make a point to say, do not be ashamed of getting an epidural. It was invented for a reason. Childbirth hurts. They measure on the scale close to like death. So it's definitely painful. Do not feel like less of a woman because you had to get epidural. And to those who don't want to epidural and do it naturally, like, I salute you, more power to you. With my second child, I did not have an epidural, but like well, I'll get into that story, but I just wanted to make a point to say, if you need epidural, get one. It's okay. You're already a warrior, already made life, you're, you know, made a miracle. Do not be ashamed of getting an epidural. It is okay. So after I got it, like, that in itself is a whole nother thing, like, because you know about all the side effects, like, oh my god, if it messes up, this can happen. But having a great doctor, you know, to calm you down, like, for them to reassure you that they know how to do their job, definitely helps. So like I said, I had a great doctor who did my epidural. Afterwards, I was more at ease. I felt like people were more around me, more at ease. I wasn't, you know, cursing anyone out after that. You know, I didn't seem like I was in so much pain, and I really wasn't. I couldn't feel anything. So after the epidural, I was actually able to take a nap, you know, relax, breathe, because I knew the time was coming. So then the time came for me to deliver my daughter Kassidy. I did have her vaginally. I did not need the C-section. I want to say I pushed out fairly fast. Everyone was surprised, you know, basically because the process took me to get to that point. We were kind of prepared for anything that could go wrong to go wrong, but I actually pushed her out in maybe 5 pushes. Everything went smooth, and I was able to deliver a healthy baby girl. It was not a funny thing, but she actually weighed in at 5 pounds 8 ounces, when a few days before they had weighed her being about 4 or a little under 4. So and that didn't necessarily need to be induced, but I figured that's just the way that things needed to happen. That's the way things were meant to happen, and that's how I was able to deliver my daughter Kassidy. I am going to put pictures of my 2 kids at the end, just so you can see them where they look now. Like I said before, she was delivered at 5 pounds 8 ounces, and she was beautiful and healthy. Next, I'm going to talk about my son Kyrie. My experience delivering him was totally different. I did go to the same doctor's office. I did, however, have a separate doctor deliver him. I was very comfortable with him from the beginning. We had created that relationship, so I was very comfortable and wanted to, you know, trust him and his opinion. I did let him know of the things that happened with my previous pregnancy. I also wanted to mention that My kids are 11 months apart, almost exactly. So my daughter Kassidy was born May 26th and my son's birthday is April 25th. So they're almost exactly 11 months apart. Did not happen on purpose. Was definitely very shocked to hear that I was pregnant. I actually did not find out I was pregnant with Kyrie until January, and I delivered him in April. So I made it almost halfway through my pregnancy without even knowing I was pregnant. I did not have a cycle in between the two kids, so it was not like I missed a period and was just like, oh my god, I'm pregnant again. I just never had one, and never even registered me that I was pregnant again. So I didn't find out I was pregnant with Kyrie until about 5.5, 6 months into the pregnancy. So I was very shocked when I went in, you know, about a hardcore stomach ache. That's really what I thought it was. And they were like, no, you're pregnant. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah. Did the ultrasound, and they were like, yeah, you're about 26 weeks pregnant. And I just could not believe it. So I really had about 4.5 months to literally get my stuff together because he was coming. My first appointment, I was able to find out he was a boy. I didn't have to wait. None of that, how my first pregnancy was. So definitely was shocked. That's just the way how things were meant to be. I adjusted to it, got my stuff together, prepared for him as best as I could. So with Kyrie, I want to say he was due May 3rd. I had him April 25th. So he was maybe a week early. I was not induced with Kyrie. I want to say about, like I said, the 23rd, I want to say I started having some contractions. I was having Braxton Hicks, and they seemed kind of close to that, but they were lasting. When I had Braxton Hicks, I say they lasted no more than an hour or two, but I started kind of realizing they were different when they were going on for hours and hours. I was like, okay, I think the time is coming close. I was definitely ready to have Kyrie. Like I said, I think she was 8-9 months at the time where I had Kassidy, and it was just really, and she was not walking at the time yet. So it's very exhausting having a big stomach and having the little, it's still, you know, considered infant baby around, where I had to constantly carry her. So I was definitely ready to drop the load. I was one of those ones, you know, trying to do everything I can to jumpstart the labor. Pineapples, hot Takis, hot Cheetos. I tried it, and I definitely wanted to have it before I got too hot. I live in North Carolina, and once May, June hits, it's hot. So I was definitely ready to have him. Then I want to have him in the heat. Like I said, I think the 23rd I started having contractions. They started at nighttime. They were just very constant. This pain was not going away. I knew the time was coming. I was like, he could come anytime, any moment. So I want to say the morning of the 24th, when I woke up, I used the bathroom and my mucus plug had came out, also known as the bloody show. That's when I knew, oh my god, I need to get ready. So that point in time, I had packed my bag, packed clothes for Kyrie, put some things for Kassidy in there. I didn't know how things were going to work out. At the time, my husband was working overnight, so I just wanted to let him know, prepare him, like, if I call you and you're at work, be ready because I think he's coming. So all throughout that day, I was having very bad contractions. I was timing them, trying to keep up with how consistent they were. I had went ahead and let my doctor know that time was coming. About when they were 8 minutes, I was trying to do whatever I can to distract my mind from it. I even was able to take naps, strangely, because they had told me if you're able to sleep through your contractions, they're not real. So I was also had that in mind. I was like, how am I able to go to sleep? They told me I would be able to do this. If it's real, maybe it's not. Maybe there's a tense Braxton Hicks. People go to the doctor with Braxton Hicks all the time. So I was like, I don't want to underestimate the power of a Braxton Hicks because they probably can get serious. I was just going ahead, you know, measuring their timing and seeing how consistent they were. But for some reason, I felt like they were just as worse as they could get. But they weren't getting any closer than 6 to 7 minutes. So I just went ahead and let my doctor know, like, hey, I know y'all say about 5 minutes apart, 4 minutes, a little under that, but I can't get them any closer, but I am in pain. What should I do? And they just informed me, like, we really want you to be 5, at least 5 or under, because at that point we don't want them to send you home. And when you get there and you're not where they hope or want you to be, and they send you home, and then it's like a waste of time. So it's like, okay, you know, I'm in my mind, I'm like, this is it. But at the same time, like, I don't want to go there and then they send me back, and then it's just going to be, and I'm just going to be underestimating, you know, everything. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna see what I can do, you know, hold on, they don't want me to come yet. I had informed my mom had been with me, and she was like, you need to go to the hospital. Like, I called to let them know, they said I don't need to come. My mom had delivered 6 kids, so I was like, she knows what she's talking about. But like I said, I just talked to them, they don't want me to come yet. So literally 5 minutes after I got in touch with the hospital, my contractions literally went from 6 to 7 minutes to 2 minutes, like in a just like that, like they were just like boom, like just coming. And I was like, this is it, I need to go. And at that point in my head, I had worried I had waited too long, because I should have trusted my mom, should have trusted my body. I definitely should have went to the hospital a lot sooner. I was worried to the point where I was like, I'm scared I'm gonna have the baby in the car. That's how they just picked up out of nowhere. So I was like, oh my god, if I had this baby in the car, I'd be so mad at myself. I should listen to my mom, I should listen to myself. I knew it was time, but I didn't. But I luckily made it to the hospital in time. When I got in, you know, they put me in a little room, checked me, see where I was at. They were like, oh my gosh, you're like 7.5, 8 centimeters. You're definitely ready. We're gonna go ahead and get you checked in into a bigger room. And I was like, well, before you guys do anything, I want an epidural. I don't want to go feel it. I made it to 4 centimeters last time with my last baby. I know what it can get like. I can't make it past that point. Go ahead and let the doctor know that I want the epidural. They're like, okay, you know, we're gonna go ahead and let the doctor on duty, you know, who's performing, then let them know that you want the epidural. I was like, cool. So they had changed me out, you know, to the little gown you put on, moved me to a bigger room. My husband had came, my mom had came, my sisters, everyone was there. We were all in the room. And by that time, they were just like, just coming. It was to a point where I was just signing stuff, didn't know I was signing, like, yeah, just, you know, get me the drugs. I'm ready to push. Unfortunately, I did have problems with the doctors finding a vein to insert my IV. So that put a major stop to everything. They had to call a specialist to come in to try to find a vein in my arm. So I was like, oh my gosh, you know, at the same time, I'm already through so much pain. I wanted the drugs, and like I said, I was kind of starting to feel some pressure. I wanted to push, but I just knew I didn't want to feel it. The pain was unbearable. Like I said, I was already 7.5, 8 centimeters at the time. So I'm like, it's going to get worse than this. I cannot do it. I need drugs. So the specialist that came in, by the time he was able to come in, find a vein to insert my IV, the doctor that was doing the epidurals had took on another patient. And they were like, he's going to be about 10 minutes, ma'am. You might need to push without him. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I don't want to push. I don't want to feel it. I know what it can get like. Like I said, I made it to 4, and I was like, it was unbearable to me. So I know how bad it can get. I said, I'm not pushing unless I have the epidural. At that point, I couldn't even talk. I was like, oh, like it was, the pressure was just crazy. It was at that point where he was like right there. They're like, ma'am, you have to push. And I'm literally in tears crying. I was just so terrified of the pain. Like I said, I was already at 8. I did most of the work by myself, so I knew me pushing him out was going to be worse. And it was, like I said, it seemed so bad, it was unmemorable. That's how bad it was. Like, so like I said, I didn't feel like I was strong enough. I didn't think I had it in me to deliver my son naturally, drug free. But the time came where I could not hold him any longer. So it just came to that point when I was like, I have to get him out, and if I have to do it without epidural, I'm going to. Because like I said, it was way more worse me sitting there trying to hold him back than pushing him out. So I pushed Kyrie. It took me about, I would say 5 or less minutes, and then I was able to deliver him vaginally, naturally. To those who are going to experience the same thing that I did, you can do it. It might seem unbearable, impossible when those contractions hit, but you can do it. Your body was made for this. But again, I will reinstate, if you need an epidural, do it. Do not be ashamed. You're already a warrior. You already created life, made a miracle. It's okay. And to those who want to do it naturally, like I said, again, you're a warrior. It's strong. You're strong. Kudos to you. You can do either way. And epidurals were invented for a reason, because childbirth hurts. So that's going to basically sum up part 1 of my video. The second part, I'm going to be talking about what happens after pregnancy, my experiences with after giving childbirth, things that I was totally unaware of, unexpected, but that did happen. So that sums it up for part 1 of my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit the like button and hit subscribe, and stay tuned for part 2.